Think about a specific man for a moment. He is 63 years old. He wakes up at 6:00 a.m. without the need for an alarm. He prepares exactly the coffee he desires, precisely the way he likes it. He sits on his back porch for 45 minutes with absolutely no agenda whatsoever. Then he spends his day engaged in work he finds meaningful, seeing the people he chooses to see, and going to bed when he feels tired. He is not wealthy, he is not famous, and he does not drive anything impressive. But if you sat across from him for 10 minutes, you would notice something that is genuinely difficult to manufacture. He is completely, almost disturbingly, at peace with his own existence. Now, here is the part that will make some people uncomfortable. He is single, deliberately, unapologetically, and strategically single. Not because he is broken or bitter or could not find someone. It is because he tried the alternative again after his divorce, and what he found was not companionship. It was the slow, quiet erosion of everything he had spent 60 years building inside himself. He does not hate relationships. He does not hate women. He made a simple, clear-eyed calculation about the years he has left and what he wants to do with them. And the moment he stopped apologizing for that decision, something shifted. The men around him, married men, coupled men. Men performing contentment for their social circles started pulling him aside at dinner parties and asking in lowered voices the same question: how do you do it? That question is what this video is actually about. Not whether you should be alone, not whether love is real, but whether the traditional relationship model at this specific stage of your life is actually serving you, or whether you are serving it out of habit, fear, or a script someone else handed you decades ago. Let us find out. Top 1, you have finally earned your inner life. Don't auction it off. Something happens to a man in his 60s that almost nobody prepares you for. The noise stops. Not all at once, but gradually. The relentless internal noise that defined your 30s and 40s. The career anxiety. The financial pressure. The need to prove yourself to people whose opinions you have long since stopped caring about it loses its grip. And in that quiet, something extraordinary becomes possible for the first time. You get to meet yourself, the actual version, not the version performing for a boss or a spouse or a mortgage, the version that has real opinions, genuine preferences, and a clear sense of what a well-spent day actually feels like. Psychologists call this process individuation. Carl Jung wrote about it as the central psychological task of the second half of life. The slow, necessary process of becoming fully yourself rather than a role you have been cast in. It requires space, silence, and the freedom to follow your own thinking without constant negotiation. Living with another person requires perpetual compromise of the environment in which that process happens. The space, the schedule, and the emotional atmosphere of your home, all of it becomes shared territory, continuously renegotiated. For a 28-year-old building a life, that negotiation is the point. For a 63-year-old who has finally found his own signal after decades of noise, it carries a completely different cost. The question is not whether companionship has value, it has enormous value. The question is whether domestic partnership is the only way to access it, or whether you have simply never questioned that assumption because it was handed to you so early that it feels like gravity. Sit quietly in your home for 10 minutes. Notice how you feel. If the answer is peace genuine, settled, unfabricated peace, you have built something real and rare. Guard it accordingly. Top 2. Merging two full lives is genuinely hard, and pretending otherwise helps nobody. Here is what the romantic version of late-life love never shows you. Two people over 60, both carrying the full weight of everything a life accumulates, attempting to actually merge those lives in any practical sense. By this point, you both have architecture, you have adult children with complicated dynamics, grandchildren, financial structures built across 4 decades, health realities, and future care considerations that are not hypothetical. You have family traditions, loyalties, and histories that predate each other by 50 years. None of that is a character flaw. It is just what a full life looks like. But merging two fully formed lives is an entirely different undertaking than building one life together from your mid-20s. The challenges are categorically different, and they rarely arrive dramatically. They arrive in small moments. A holiday gathering where loyalties are subtly divided and everybody feels it, but nobody says it. A financial decision where two completely different philosophies surface publicly for the first time. The research on late-life blended families is consistent and largely ignored. Family conflict is among the top predictors of relationship failure for couples who begin after 50 alongside financial incompatibility and diverging health trajectories. This is not an argument that it cannot work. It is an argument that the complexity is real and worth taking seriously before you make a commitment whose consequences you will be navigating for the rest of your life. If you have looked at that complexity honestly and concluded it outweighs the return for you personally, that is not cynicism. That is what honest self-assessment looks like. And at 60, that skill is worth more than almost anything else you own. Top 3. The modern dating market will cost you something you cannot replace. Let us be completely straight about this. If you have not dated seriously in a decade or two, what you will encounter is not what you remember. Dating apps have gamified human connection. Profiles reward performance over authenticity. Attention spans have compressed to the point where a relationship that does not generate immediate excitement is abandoned before it has any chance to develop into something real. For a man in his 30s with energy to spare, that landscape is navigable. For a man in his 60s, it presents a different problem entirely. Your most finite resource at this stage is not money, it is time. Specifically, the high-quality, fully conscious time you have remaining to spend on things that are genuinely meaningful to you. The hours spent performing for a dating profile, decoding the meaning of a 3-day silence between text messages, sitting across from someone evaluating your lifestyle rather than engaging with your character. Those hours have a real cost. And unlike money, time does not come back. The alternative is not withdrawal, it is intentionality. It is making a deliberate choice about where your relational energy goes and refusing to spend it inside a system designed for a different life stage entirely. Top 4. The financial reality. Nobody wants to say out loud. This section makes people uncomfortable, which is precisely why it matters. By 60, your financial picture is largely established. The retirement accounts, the property, the estate plan, and the inheritance intentions. These are the concrete results of 40 years of specific decisions and real sacrifice. What most people entering late-life relationships do not adequately understand is this. In many jurisdictions, the legal distinction between a long-term live-in partner and a legal spouse is far blurrier than common sense suggests. Cohabitation laws, common law marriage statutes, and palimony precedents vary significantly by state and country. What begins as a loving domestic arrangement can, over time, create financial obligations and estate complications that nobody anticipated. An hour with an estate attorney before making any serious domestic commitment is not a betrayal of romance. It is basic responsibility to yourself and the people who depend on what you have built. Beyond the legal dimension, two people in their 60s rarely arrive with identical spending philosophies or lifestyle expectations. Those differences generate friction that is simultaneously financial and deeply personal. Because at this stage, how you spend your money is inseparable from how you have chosen to value your own life. Protect what you have built, not because people are predatory, but because love does not simplify the law. And the people depending on your legacy deserve to have it handled with the seriousness you brought to building it. Top 5. What you are actually looking for might not be a girlfriend. Here is where I want to push back on the entire framing of this conversation, including this video's own title. The question was never really whether you should have a girlfriend. That is too small, and it generates a too small conversation about labels and logistics. The real question is what you are actually hungry for. And when men over 60 answer that honestly, without pressure to perform either commitment or independence, the answer is rarely a domestic partner who shares my living space and legal obligations. The actual answer, almost universally, is connection. Genuine, unhurried human connection. Conversation that goes somewhere real. The experience of being truly known by another person. Physical closeness, warmth, and shared experience. Every one of those things is available without a traditional cohabitating relationship. What researchers now call living apart together Couples who are genuinely connected but maintain separate households is one of the fastest growing relationship configurations among adults over 55. The people who choose it are not settling. Many report it as the first relationship model that has ever actually fit who they are. The structure you choose should emerge from an honest, private accounting of what you actually want, not from social pressure to conform, and not from this video either. Both directions carry their own pressure. Neither is your answer. Your answer is the one that remains when both of them go quiet. Your 60s are not a consolation round. For many men, they are the first decade where the internal and external finally match, where you have both the resources and the self-knowledge to live with genuine intention. Think about the man on the back porch. What made him that way was not a particular relationship status. It was that he stopped making decisions based on expectation and started making them based on what was actually true for him. That is the whole game. Figure out what you actually want. Build toward it honestly. Protect it once you find it, and refuse to apologize for any of it. If this gave you something real to think about, share it with someone working through the same questions. And if something here does not sit right, especially if it does not, say so in the comments. If this story changed the way you look at the peace and solitude of your own life, please subscribe and like the channel. We are uncovering the history and the truths that society often tries to bury. Plant the seeds for your own future. The next treasure of wisdom will be open soon.